Hello and welcome to Higher Business Management Business Activity Unit 1.1. So here's a wee starter. So what is a business? Give 2 examples of a business you think have a good image. List 5 can be generic costs that you think a business may have, and obviously it's a bit different online, but does anyone currently have a job? This is a starter I would do in class to try and get some answers from the class. So in Unit 1.1 we have these topics: role of business in society, types of organisations, business objectives, and methods of growth. So today we are learning to understand the fundamentals of what makes a business and the success criteria. I can define what a business is, I can define key terms, I can explain what added value is, and I can discuss and describe about the changing patterns of employment in the UK over the last 30 years. So introduction to business, higher business management. So here's a quote: take risks. If you win, you'll be happy. If you lose, you'll be wise. Many entrepreneurs don't succeed at first. It takes some time to actually achieve their goals. Here's a wee silly QI for you. So what connects the creator of the Marlboro cigarettes and the inventor of the flying car? Any ideas? Well, sadly, they were both killed by their invention. The creator of Marlboro cigarettes died from lung cancer, and the inventor of the flying car, this is very similar to the one used in the James Bond film The Man with the Golden Gun, Henry Smolinski. He died in 1973 when his car, like that, it just detached, the wings came off the car. So, what is a business? This is a definition that we like to use for in our subjects. A business is an organisation that exists to satisfy needs and wants. Sometimes people add for a profit, but not all businesses and organisations exist to make money and to make a profit. But I do like that one. So why are businesses important? So GDP, gross domestic product, that actually measures how much economic activity a country has, and the GDP is the total value in US dollars of all the final goods and services that an economy produces in a set period of time, normally a year, and of course, as we know, a year is divided into 4 quarters. So here's the UK's GDP. Obviously it's a few years old now, and you can see it's been up and down, especially went down over the economic hit we had in 2008-2009. At time of recording, this is in the middle of the coronavirus lockdown, so the UK's economy is obviously going to tank, but so is everyone else's. Who are the top 5 economies currently in the world? Well, USA is number 1, number 2 is China, Japan 3, Germany 4, and the UK is 5 at the moment. So that shows you that USA is actually still vastly ahead of China, but China over the last couple of years overtook Japan. And here you go, it gives you a kind of idea. These figures are slightly out of date because I know that I think the US economy is now, I think, something like 23 trillion, and their debt is 21 trillion, which is quite incredible. Now the reason we're talking about GDP is just to give you a size of what actually happens when people talk in the news about this. Right, don't worry, you'll not actually ask this in your higher business management course, but it does, I think, help when you're starting out think about why in the news they talk about the economy, why they talk about jobs, businesses, profits, and there you can see there, you know, the USA, massive economy, followed by China, that's a wee bit behind, and then Japan, quite a good bit behind. But look at the gap now between Japan and China, massive gap. Here's another thing that it's handy to know. Businesses and tax. So I've got corporation tax, VAT, and so you can see here you've got income tax, 3 different categories. So corporation tax is basically a tax on profits made by companies. VAT is called value added tax, which is basically a sales tax. And income tax has got people get charged a certain amount up till 25 grand, and then from 25 to 43 grand, over 43 grand you pay the top rate. The rate bands do change. So you can see at the moment corporation tax 19%, VAT 20%, the income tax band up to 25 grand is 20%, although up to a certain amount people don't pay any tax. I can't remember what the figure is, but it might be about 10, 11 grand. Over 40% you pay if you earn over 43 grand, and 45% if you're over 43 grand. Now also remember, it doesn't mean to say that if you're at 42,995 and then you jump to 43, 995, that's an increase of £1,000. You only get charged the 40% on the £1,000 difference, not on everything, because that would be daft then. Nobody'd want an increase. So here's some key terms which I'm not going to go over with you, but these are ones that I do in class, so I get pupils to select these different ones. So customer, consumer, supplier, production, added value, quality, profit, goods, needs, service, wants, objectives, market and growth. And funnily enough, there's always one they pick last. Added value. Now I'm not going to show you this video, but it's about Kellogg's and how they actually make or how they turn what they actually take from the ground, and it's really cheap, how they turn that into actual a product we buy. So I'll come back to that. So it says here, what ways could you add value to this? So it's a bottle of water, how could we make that worthwhile? Now remember, Dasani, which is Coca-Cola's, that's tap water, so how could we turn that into a valuable product? Okay, some ways would be the packaging, make it look eye-catching. Speed of delivery, many people pay for Amazon Prime, people use things like Yodel and Hermes. Good quality, is the product good, that tastes good? Convenience, is it handy to get, is it in every store? Coca-Cola are the masters of distribution. Everywhere you go you can almost buy a can of Coca-Cola. And good customer service, a bit different in this case because it's actually a product, but sometimes the service that is provided for you can make you want to go back. Here's the thing I was talking about, added value. It's the most difficult one that no one seems to want to answer in class. So a kernel is just basically the bit of corn that you can eat. It is extremely inexpensive. So we could go and plant corn or buy even bits of kernel, and it would cost, I can't remember the figure, but it would cost hardly anything. You could buy many grams of it for hardly anything at all. However, people don't just eat kernel. It doesn't taste very good. So what Kellogg's do is they buy the kernel. In fact, I know nowadays, they used to buy it I think, but nowadays they'll grow the corn and take the kernel off and make it in massive numbers, and then what they'll do is they add the sugar, the flavouring and other ingredients, as well as turn it into an eye-catching packaging, whether you like Cocoa Pops or Kellogg's Cornflakes. It's to sell an image as well. And you can see here Kellogg's can make 2000% markup on kernel, so that's a hell of a lot of money. Another thing I'm going to show you is, because we're going to look at steaks. So here is from Encyclopedia Britannica is a cow and all the different types of steak you can get. So for example, let's see, the fillet steak is usually the kind of one that everyone likes. It's the easiest to eat, but when you go up here to like ribeye and T-bone and sirloin are the ones that many steak eaters like. Now here's the production chain. So in the production you've got the cow, where sadly the cow is cut up and turned into different types of meat. That's what happens. And then it gets processed and packaged, sent to warehouses for distribution, and then delivered I should say, from the distribution to either retail, where you can go into shops like Asda, Tesco and buy your cuts of meat, or you can actually have it in the restaurant where you go to a steakhouse. Also in the retail you buy it and you'll prepare it yourself, whereas obviously in the restaurant it's prepared by a chef. So you've got two types of consumer, home consumer and restaurant consumer. So how do they add value at each stage? Right, so that's a wee task you would think about, that how you can make each stage different and how you could add value, and then obviously that adds to the cost, but it makes it a more worthwhile experience for the end user. And as you can see here, Here is Miller and Carter, quite a famous steakhouse, and there's a steak there. So not only have you got the steak, but you've got all the trimmings as well. You know, you've got chips and or fries and salad, etc. Dips to make it really. You think that's a great experience. I want that steak. You could buy all of that out of a supermarket, but Miller and Carter, they're adding value for you there, and the ambience in the restaurant, which hopefully you'll come to see when we do the 7 P's of marketing. Now here's another thing, the changing patterns of employment in the UK. So you can see here about how it says employments went. So we used to be way back 1800 AD, as you probably remember, is around about the time of the Industrial Revolution. You can see the primary sector, which hopefully you remember from Nat 5, were really 70% of the UK's economy, or employment structure should say, was in the primary sector. But gradually as times came down to the year 2000 and beyond, we don't make things, we don't use the raw materials as much as we used to, and you can see secondary actually did rise, especially during the industrial phase. We built ships and cars and worked in factories, but that's kind of tailing off. The tertiary sectors came out of nowhere. Services really took off, and quaternary is a relatively new sector. So there's been 10 major recognisable changes to the UK workplace and the workforce over the last 30 years. So if you're going to do this, and I advise you do it, don't use your smartphone or internet. Work with someone in your house or a friend and see how many you can find. So here's some clues: gender, age, types of work contracts. If you do admin, you'll know about that. Types of jobs, types of industry, and location. Okay, so I'll give you some of the answers. Quite a lot. There's an increase in part-time workers. It used to be you get a job for life. At the age of 16, you got that job and you retired at 65. Totally different now. Not so much full-time. Also, far more tertiary sector jobs, and of course we'll come on to that later. But tertiary sector means service sectors. Decline in manufacturing. Again, we don't make as much as we used to. Look at the Clyde. Shipbuilding's virtually disappeared from the Clyde. There's also more women in full or part-time employment. This culture, it used to be that women didn't really go to work as much as the men did, and also if they did have a baby, they would then usually stay off to look after the kid, and a lot of times wouldn't come back to work. But that's all changed now with the Equality Act, and long before that with the Equal Pay Act, to give women a chance to still have a career. So there's more women in full-time management, full-time employment, and part-time employment. That obviously makes more sense, because it would mean then, leading on, you would have more women in managerial posts. We've had 2 female prime ministers. We've got a female Scottish first minister. So, and also in lots of management roles, women are doing it a lot better. Increase of older workers, because the population is getting older and our pensions are creeping up. It used to be 65 for men and 60 for women. They equalised it to 65 each, and now it's been up to 66. It's gone up again to 67, and probably the time you and I retire, it'll be 68. In fact, probably the time you retire, it'll be in your 70s. Don't want to panic you, but it could happen. Flexible working, so things like flexi time, teleworking, annualised hours, home working. It means that you don't always just sit in the office. And in fact, the lockdown has proven just now that this could be the way of the future for many jobs. People sometimes want to go and work abroad. We've got many teachers that we know have left to go and work in far-flung places like Thailand, Malaysia, China, Singapore, Hong Kong, Vietnam. So sometimes if people might think, if it's not for us in the UK, I'm off, and Dubai and Qatar, forgot about that, they could head out there. There's a lot more smaller firms, more chance for SMEs, which stands for small to medium enterprises, so more people are starting their own jobs, which links to self-employed as well, and also more career changes. It used to be to have that one job for life. Now you could have 10, 12, 20 jobs in a career. And here's a little thing for you to finish off with, a wee QI. Who or what were these businesses named after? So IKEA, the clue is a person. Starbucks is a clue, a character from a very famous book. Lego, a clue, it's a common phrase of speech in a certain language. And Reebok, it's a clue, it's an animal. Sounds very much like another type of animal that you all know. So the answers are, the answers are IKEA, it's Ingvar Kamprad, who is actually the founder of IKEA. Starbucks is from Herman Melville's famous novel Moby Dick. There's a character called Starbucks. Starbuck. And Lego is Danish for let's play. And Reebok is actually an antelope, that's South African, and it's quite like the springbok, which sports fans would know that springbok is actually the rugby union nickname of the South African team. So, here's a little planning for you. Think about what you've learned today and tie it up with the success criteria. Okay, see you in the next lesson.